Hello, guess who? That's right, it's King Oberon, and guess what? It's time for another story. This one's one of my favourites. It's got a fairy and a human in it. I know, right? Fairy and a human in the story. We haven't had one of those yet, have we? Other than, maybe Hansel and Gretel. Well, that was a witch in this one. This is the story of Rumplestiltskin. Oh, you've heard of this one, huh? Well, maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But don't you be minding, you can't share the name with a girl if you do know this one. So, many, many years ago, there was a poor miller. And he worked day in and day out, and his family was poor. And his wife had just given birth to the first child. And the baby had turned a year old. And the miller, he was out there working his mill and doing his best to grind the wheat and make flour for bread when he heard a noise from outside. Well, the miller, he was a brave man, so he snatched up a stick and he snatched up a sack and he crept outside the mill. And outside the mill, what should he see but a strange little man capering outside the mill. Mill, mill, spin and spin, turn a profit, make me win. Mill, mill, turn and spin, turn a profit, make me win. And each time the weird little man said that, gold coins would fall into the sack at his feet, and flour would disappear from the mill. Well, the miller was shocked. He'd always wondered why the flour had disappeared from the mill so quickly, almost as if by magic. And now for certain he knew it was magic that had been stealing the flour from his own children's mouths. So the miller, he crept up with his sack as quiet as he could, and he swooped it down and snatched the man up in the sack. And he got ready to hit the sack with a stick. That's right, the guy, he was stealing from him and he was going to hit it with a stick. And from inside the sack, no, no, don't hit me. If you help me, wishes 3. The miller, he stopped. Wishes 3, you say? I'll give you 3 gifts if you let me free. 3 gifts, and one shall be prosperity. What 3 gifts will you give me if I let you out of this sack? And you promise never to return to my mill again. I will grant you good fortune and a potion that you may drink once a year to gain your gains and get gold. I'll also give you a magic ring and a magic necklace for your daughter so that she will grow up beautiful and never know a day of sickness. If I set you free, you promise me these gifts 3. I do. If you set me free, I promise you prosperity and the gifts 3. Fine then, little man, but do not ever return to my mill again, or into the sack you go and a stick across your head. Oh, fear not, I'll never return. And with that, the strange little man, he handed the miller a gold ring and a silver chain and a large bottle. Drink only once a year, or else misfortune will befall ye. And with that, the little man capered and danced a jig and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Well, the miller, he was shocked. And he looked at the ring, and he looked at the necklace, and he looked at the jug. And he took a sip out of the jug, and it tasted sweet like honey, like all things good, and he could feel magic coursing through his veins. And with that, the mill struck up to speed, and a great gust of wind came blowing through, and all the grain was ground in but a moment's flash. There's more flour here than I've ever seen before. Surely this is magical, and I shall use it only as instructed. And he took the ring, and he took the necklace, and he placed them upon his wee young 1-year-old daughter's head and neck, around her finger the ring. And as each day went by and each year passed, once a year, and only once, the miller would drink a draught of the potion, and he grew wealthy, and his family grew strong, and his daughter, she grew up willowy and bright and beautiful, and never a day of sickness passed her lips. She became the talk of the town, a golden-haired beauty. Well, it came to pass that as she grew and grew and grew, and the miller grew in wealth, he wanted her to marry into the nobility so that she could rise above the rank of a peasant and become a lady. And so the miller, the only way he knew how to do this was to have enough money to buy enough land where he himself could be claimed a lord, and that way have a dowry. A dowry is a way that people would pay to have their daughters married into a good family. That's an old tradition that we no longer practice anymore, which is a good thing, but back then it's the way things were done. And so the miller, he decided at that time, instead of drinking one drop of the potion, for surely if one drop could give him this much fortune, two would give him twice as much, and he would be able to wed his daughter at the age of 16, and she would become a lady. So the miller, he took 2 drops of the potion, and he headed into town, and he went down to the local tavern, and he went to visit all of his friends. And he's talking and he's visiting, and he finds himself bragging. That's right, talking about how great everything was for him. My mill is the most prosperous in all the land. I can grind flour in no time flat. Soon I shall be the richest landowner ever has seen. And my daughter, she is the most beautiful. She is the most gorgeous. No woman can compare to her. And my wife, she is the best mother of all. No one can compare to her. And the villagers, oh, come on with it. You're just saying that again. We already know. Ah, gee, Bob, we've known you all your life. And, well, so, that doesn't matter. And my daughter can sew better than your daughter. No, she can't. My daughter can sew better than your daughter. She can sew twice as fast. Oh, please. My daughter can sew circles around yours. Well, what about weaving? Well, my daughter can weave faster than any weaver in town. In fact, she's the best weaver in all of the land. And the miller, well, my daughter, she can weave straw into gold. There's no, she can't. Yes, she can. She can weave straw into gold. And if you don't believe me, nah. And with that, the miller left. Well, little did the miller know that one of the king's own men was in the tavern that night, and he overheard the miller's boast. Well, he ran forthwith to the king, and he told the king, "My lord, there's a miller in town whose daughter can weave straw into gold. He acclaimed it loudly to all who would hear. Even when they questioned if he was telling the truth, he stood by his story that they could weave straw into gold." And the king, being poor as the king was at that time, because he'd had many wars and famine had stressed his land, he thought to himself, I could use a queen that can weave straw into gold. Summon the miller's daughter, and she shall make me gold so that I can be rich and powerful, the strongest king around. And with that, they went and they fetched the miller's daughter and they dragged her back to the castle, and she was scared. So, young girl, your father says you can weave straw into gold. My lord, I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know how to weave straw into gold. Don't be shy just because I'm a king. I will put you in this tower room, and you must weave this straw into gold before dawn, or I'll chop off your father's head. So she did not know what to do, because that's scary. The king's going to chop off her father's head if she can't turn the straw into gold. What is she going to do? So she cries and she cries and she weeps and she tries to weave the straw into gold, but it's just straw. Tired and sore and her fingers bruised, she lay down on the cold stones of the tower and she wept and she cried, "If only someone could help me. I don't want my father dead." What is that? "It is I." And a weird little man appeared in the room. "I can weave straw into gold." "What will you give me in exchange?" "I have nothing, only... I have nothing to give you." "What about that golden ring upon your hand?" My father gave this me to when I was young." "If you need straw woven into gold, that is my price. A circle of gold for straw of gold." And so she handed him the ring, and quick as you please, the strange little man jumped up on the spinning wheel and began weaving with the speed of lightning. And in a crash, the straw became gold, spun and fine weaved into yarn. And that morning, the king, he came to the tower, not expecting that to be gold, but instead expecting that there would soon be a miller short ahead. And he opened the door, and what to his surprise, there the girl lay on a bed of spun gold. "This is amazing! Look at the gold! How? Never mind, this is wonderful." And he took the gold and he scooped it up and he just snapped his fingers. "Bring twice as much straw." Twice as much straw?" "Yes, if you can do it once, you can do it again. This time, make the straw into gold. Make the straw into gold, or I'll strike off your father's head." And she cried and she wept again. And once again she tried to make the wheel spin to turn the straw into gold. For if the strange little man could do it, maybe she could now too. But tired and heartbroken, after many hours of trying to spin the straw into gold, all she had was straw. And she lay down and she cried on the stones, "Oh, my father, he'll soon lose his head." "It's you again." "Indeed it is, my dear. I see you have more straw that needs turned into gold." "Yes, but there's twice as much now, and I have nothing left to give." "What about that silver necklace around your neck?" "It's the last thing my father has given me since I was a child." "The price of my help is a necklace of silver to turn this straw into gold. Or off with your father's head, and if you don't care about your father..." No. "Here, take the necklace." And she pulled it off and she handed it to the strange little man, and he put it about his neck. And he jumped on the wheel, and just as fast he spun and spun and spun, and the straw became gold. That morning the sun rose again, and the king climbed the steps to the tower and opened the door, and there she lay upon a blanket of gold spun from the straw. "This is wonderful! Look at all the gold! I am going to be the richest king in all the land! Ha ha! You are a wonder, girl, a wonder! Perhaps it was good I did not chop off your father's head. Bring 5 times as much straw." "5 times as much?" "Right, 5 times as much. But I'll make a deal with you. little girl, because you are very beautiful. If you turn all of this straw into gold, I will marry you and make you my queen. If you don't, chop off your father's head. What do you say? But I don't want to be queen. Take your pick. You can either turn this straw into gold and be my queen, or I chop off your father's head. Those are your choices. And with that, he slammed the door and he went away. And again, she tried to weave the straw into gold, but to no avail. And as she lay on the stones, crying and weeping, for there was no way she could do this again without the strange little man's help, what should happen? Of course, yeah, there he was again. And he poof, and there he was. Oh, you came back. There's 5 times as much straw now, and I have nothing left to give. There's something you have to give. But I have nothing. I gave you the ring and the necklace my father gave me. I have nothing left to give. Ah, but you do. If I spin this straw into gold, your firstborn child you shall give me. I couldn't. Well, then I guess they're going to chop off your father's head. Oh, what should I do? And she began to weep and cry. Well, the odd little man, this won't do it all. She's supposed to just say yes. Maybe if I sweeten the pot a bit. Young girl. Oh, yes? I'll make a deal with you, young girl. You must give me your firstborn child on the anniversary of its first year, unless you can guess my name. If you guess my name, I'll let you keep the child, and I will spin the straw into gold. You will get to marry the king. Your father will get to keep his head. And if you don't guess my name, well, the baby will be mine. Okay. Yes! Then he jumped on the spinning wheel and he spun the straw into gold. Quick as you please. And in a puff of smoke and a cackling laugh, he disappeared. The next morning, the king showed up, not expecting there to be gold, but hoping. Gold and a beautiful wife, a great gift for a king. And sure enough, the whole room was full of gold straw. And the king kept his word, and he married the girl. And sure enough, things came to pass, and a child was born. And as the child was born, and the queen had her first night sleeping with her babe, what should she hear? Queen, queen, come to the weaving room. There's a price to pay for my help at the loom. And the queen, she knew what was going on now, and she headed to the sewing room. And there the little man was, sitting at the spinning wheel. Well, queen, I've kept my end of the bargain. Your child is born, and 1 year she will be mine, unless you guess my name. Go ahead. Yes. And the queen. Is it Alex? No. Austin? No. Amber? Oh, that's a girl's name. And And all through the night the queen guessed and guessed and guessed, and each time the strange little man, no, no, no. Well, the sun is rising and I must go. I'll be back tomorrow for you to guess again. And with that, the strange little man disappeared in a poof. Well, the queen, at this time she had no choice. She had to tell her husband. And in this time the king had grown to love her, and their child as well. This shall not do. We shall take the strange little man when he shows tomorrow and chop off his head. And then the baby will be safe, and our beautiful daughter can grow up and be strong and next queen of land. So that night, the king, he sent his guards in there to set a trap for the strange little man, and they hid behind tapestries in the sewing room. And at midnight, as the clock struck, boom, 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 9 more chimes it timed. And as the 12th chime fell, the guards in the room fell to the ground asleep. Oh queen, you're not playing fair. Mess with me if you dare. Bring your names and come and guess. The child will be mine 364 days or less. And the queen, she showed up, and she guessed the names throughout the night. No, no. Rupert, no. Ronaldo, no, not even close. And as dawn rose, the strange little man, well, you've guessed all through the night, and no name is right. Soon the child shall be mine, the child by birthright. And he disappeared again in a poof of smoke, and he was gone. And with the rising of the sun, the queen's guards and the king's guards woke from their slumber. What happened? But it was magic, and there was no break in that spell. Well, each day began to pass, and as each day passed, the queen grew more and more desperate. They sent people searching far and wide throughout the land, gathering up names and bringing back huge lists of names. And as they're traveling, each night the queen would list off the names and return to the castle. No, 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 you're running out of time. Soon the baby will be mine. And with each dawn, the strange little man would disappear. Well, one of the huntsmen, as he was traveling out and about, came across a strange scene in a clearing not far from the castle. Soon the baby will be mine. It will treat me super fine, to cook and clean and be my slave, and keep me warm all my day. They'll never guess Rumplestiltskin is my name. And the strange little man was capering around the fire, and the huntsman was as quiet could be. And he returned to the queen with the name that he had heard that night. Rumplestiltskin, a name never heard before. That evening, oh queen, guess who? That's right, it's your friend, the baby you're going to give to. And the queen, she showed up to him, and she began reading off the list. Is your name Tom? No, it's not Tom. You already guessed that once before. Is it Stuart? No, the baby's going to be mine. Is it Rumplestiltskin? What? How could you have guessed my name? And with that, the little man burst into magic dust. and was gone. And the queen and the king and their daughter lived happily ever after. And the miller learned never, ever to make a deal with a fairy again. The end. I'll see you soon.